Walmart Corporation is worth $450 billion. Chick-fil-A is estimated to be worth $25 billion. Carnival Cruise Line is worth $20 billion. These companies are very successful and they have one thing in common. They are family-run business. Yet, there's still a belief in our society that you should not do business with your family and your friends. But in today's episode, we're going to challenge that belief. In this episode, we're going to expose you guys to the inner workings of a very successful family business. We're going to break down all the do's and the don'ts of running a successful family business. Yes, even though he's my brother. Yes, even though he's the co-founder with me. When sometimes, like if we going back and forth, I know in my heart that Josh got the better idea. Everybody's not going to always make the right decision. Don't live in that. Let's jump right into the episode. Welcome to another edition of the Expose and Expand podcast show. I'm the man with the plan, Jeremy Mathis. I'm Joshua. I'm going to give you the game, Mathis, and welcome to another edition of the Expose and Expand podcast show, where we expose you to the ideas, the strategies, the struggles, the failures, the people, the experiences that have gotten us from zero to millions. The old adage says, never do business with friends or families. If you grew up how we grew up in the type of environment that we grew up in, you heard that a lot. Because we heard that a lot, I made that my own personal belief, and I vowed to never go into business with any of my family members or my friends. However, that changed when I made my own decision to go into business with my family member, a la my brother, and we had success in the business. I then made another personal decision to go in business with a friend, and we had success in that business, and we sold that business. Because of my own experiences, my beliefs started to change. Audi, Chick-fil-A, Carnival Cruise Line, Walmart, Comcast. I'm sure you guys know all of these businesses. There are two things that these businesses have in common. Number one, they're very, very successful businesses. And number two, they're family-run businesses. Because of my exposure to having successful family and friend-run businesses and doing my own research, my beliefs shifted. In today's episode, we're going to expose you to the inner workings of a successful family business. If you watch this episode in its entirety, you will know how to effectively operate and manage a family-run business, and you will have a clear understanding as to whether or not running a family business is something that's for you or is something that's not for you. Let's get right into another banger, guys. This is something that we have a lot of experience doing. We've been in family business now, I think, for 25 plus years. Yeah, 25 years. As I think about all the family businesses that we own, our first business dates back to when we were 8 years old, and we was taking out our neighbor's trash cans. The next business that you and I had was while we were in college, we started Stamp Label. You forgot about our lawnmower business in high school. You're absolutely correct. Yeah, I forgot about that. We had a lawnmower business. We had a black Ford Explorer that we did. The AC didn't work. We would put the lawn equipment in the trunk of the Explorer and truck around town and cut family and friends' yard and make $25 a yard. After that, we started, I guess, what was our first real business was Stamp Label. And we talked about this on several episodes in the past. It was a custom clothing line that we started in college. We took $20,000 essentially in student loans to start that business, and that business went down the drain really quick. Then we started a promotional marketing company called Stamp Inc. Marketing, and we did okay in that business. And then from there, we started the business with our friend, as you mentioned in the intro. It was Dr. Clean, which was a cleaning company. From there, we started investing into real estate, which was about 7 to 8 years ago. And then the last business was the trucking business that we had with our friends. So guys, we are well versed in family business. We know the do's, the don'ts, what you shouldn't do, what you should do, how to operate these family businesses. So man, this is an episode where we're going to lay it all on the table and we're going to share it all with you guys. Guys, you know our mission is to expose you guys so that you can expand. And for us, as we was sitting in our production meeting, we thought, what is something that we could really bring a different outlook on, something that really challenges the beliefs of society. And again, I'm sure you guys have heard multiple times, don't do business with family and friends. And this episode gonna shake your belief a little bit. So we're super excited about it. And I want to start off with helping you guys understanding the perks, the benefits of working in a family business. And again, guys, everything that we talk about on every episode is from experience, but this one is from real, like in-depth experience, having lived it, like Josh said, over the last 25 years, having started multiple businesses with our families and friends. But the first perk that I can think of is something that I know very, very well, and I'm very fortunate of this, is you usually are in business. If you go into business with a family and friend, you usually have someone that is trustworthy. So often we hear about bad partnerships. People meet each other and they get into partnerships, and the trust is broken. People stealing money, people doing things that are unscrupulous. And our experience, whether it's me and Josh in business, as family members, or us with our friends, we've never had any trust issues. So for me, that's one of the top benefits of going into business with a family or friend, is that you have that level of trust.
You think that's in all family businesses? Because we know some other family businesses, brother. Well, I don't know if that applies to everybody.
I wouldn't say it applies across the board, but it is something that I think is more common than not. And it's something that if you grew up the way that we grew up, it's just something that you don't even think about. The trust is innate. It's already in it. So again, we're speaking from experience. Our experience, that we've never had any trust issues. I don't got to check the bank account. I don't got to worry about certain things. So that's the number one perk for me. It's just that it's the level of trust that's there.
I think that's one of the highest values and one of the greatest things for you and I, right? We hear so many bad partnerships on, man, they stole money, man, they went behind my back, man, they did a deal without me. And for us, that's something that we don't have to worry about. So that's definitely a perk.
I know I ain't got to worry about it, because you already know, big bro, if you ever try me, it's going to be on like popcorn.
Bitch, that nigga shoot me one right now. Tell that boy shoot me one right now. Well, I'm on go. I'm always on go.
Another benefit to me, another perk of having a family-run business is you typically have common value and belief systems. Meaning me and Josh, our values are the same, our belief systems are the same, and that is something that helps us be able to operate at a level of excellence. We both understand that one of our top values is operating excellence. We have other values that we share, but typically if you raised up in the same family, you have the same values, which for me translates into operating a easy business, if you will.
I think that's the key thing too, though. Before you go into business with a family member, you want to make sure that you guys have the same values, because that's going to drive the business forward. That's super important. And I think that's one thing that really, really makes our business relationship work. Like, we are in alignment at the highest of level, and our value system is the same. So if we need to put the extra work in, that's not a problem. If we need to, do that extra step, that's not a problem, because we're in alignment with our values and our belief system. So I think that's super important.
Yes, but I want to another benefit, you actually just spoke about it, is that we both we work really hard. And when you have a family business, especially at the beginning, like almost any business, you don't have a lot of resources, you don't have a lot of capital, so you need cheap, good, stable, loyal workers. And if everybody has the same value systems and everybody was raised the same, part of that is you can usually get good workers at a discount. And that's something that's been a huge benefit for us, because there's been times where we've hired our sister, there's been times where we hired different family members, and it's not that we wanted to underpay them, but we just, in the position we were in, we had to get their labor at a discount, and that's been a huge benefit for us, being able to get good labor but at a discount. So that's another benefit.
Yeah, another benefit I would say is just someone it's in alignment with what you just said, but it's just high commitment, right? You don't want to see your family fail. Especially if you guys are in business together. So if you're in business together or you're working for the family business, you want to ensure that that business succeeds. So that's definitely a perk or benefit of having a family-run business. Is there any other benefits you could think of?
No, I think we laid them out really good. And for me, I want to talk about some of the cons to being in a family business, which it could be tough, guys.
I can jump off the porch with that one, and this is a struggle that you and I had for a long. Well, not like we didn't have that struggle for a long time, but it was long enough for us to understand that it was a disadvantage. Is you don't know how to separate work and family. Yeah. Sometimes. And in business, things get heated, and they get heated real quick. And sometimes you end up taking that home, right? So that's definitely a disadvantage. of working in a family business. You at the family dinner, instead of talking about the family, you talking about work, and before you know it, y'all sparring at the dinner table.
Yeah. That's definitely something that can be a downside if you're not mature in your business, and you're in the business with your family member, because it was a long time before we were able to separate business and family. What happened in the office, we had to learn over time that it needs to stay in the office, but at one point we would take it home, and things sometimes became very uncomfortable being around us at family outings, family get together, because I'll be about to split Josh and take him to the third, like yeet. But we had to get past that. But that's definitely one of the disadvantages of having a family.
Just a side note, you keep saying you gonna split me. Audience, if y'all want to see us have a little sparring match, a little boxing match, comment and let us know. We'll go to the gym, we'll set the cameras up, I'm gonna beat him. So y'all make sure y'all comment and let us know.
Another disadvantage that I want to talk about that we kind of experience, and I've seen other family businesses experience this disadvantage, is a lack of structure. Because it's just like sometimes if you're not mature, you don't know how to properly set up that structure, and that translates into business. And the family, everybody doing everything together. And then when you get into business, you think that's how business is supposed to run. Everybody's doing everything together. And you're wasting talent, you're wasting time, everybody's doing the same thing, and you guys are not being as productive as you possibly can. That was a struggle for us for the longest. For a long time, we lacked structure. We was doing the same thing over and over. You was doing the same thing, I was doing the same thing. We was wasting time and wasting resources. So that could be one of the disadvantages of doing business with your family member.
Another disadvantage I would say is just lack of skills or experience, because sometimes when you're in a family business, it's all hands on deck. So you got JoJo and Mimi doing accounting when they didn't even pass pre-algebra, right? So you just need somebody to come in and run a book. So when you're running a family business, one of those disadvantages could be, like I said, that lack of skill or experience. And as we mentioned earlier, an advantage of a family business is having that cheap labor, but sometimes as we know, cheap labor is always not the best. And you may have the family member who wants to help the business succeed, but they're in the wrong seat and they don't have the skill that they need in order to help the business grow.
Now that's real facts. And for us, if you want to have successful businesses, you got to know what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and get yourself in those roles within the companies. And that's how you can help the business win. So I want to transition and talk about some of the things that we've been able to do and how we've been able to have a successful family business, and talk about some of the things that, if you're thinking about starting a family business, or if you're in the family business, things that you must do if you want to have success. And I want to jump off the porch with this one. And the first thing that you got to do is you got to get everything in writing. For us, you think because you're in the family business and you trust your family member, you guys have the same value systems, that everything is always going to be okay, that everybody's always going to be on the same page, and that is not the case. And a prime example is, you guys heard us talk about it in previous episodes, where we never had an operating agreement, we never had clear roles and responsibilities, and that almost put us in a bad situation. Josh was going through his divorce. And since we didn't have an operating agreement, that kind of caused some friction between us, because certain things was happening, and our attorney helped us understand the benefits and why we need to have an operating agreement and why we need to put everything in writing. So guys, this is not legal advice, but you definitely, whether you're doing business with a family member or a friend or whoever, you definitely need to put everything in writing. And I think especially in the family business, so no boundaries are crossed and everybody knows what's going on.
I would say another thing that you want to make sure that you do in a family business is ensure that you over communicate. Because one of the issues that you and I had for a long time was, you and I would discuss things, but we never discussed it among the team, and it would cause some chaos, because you and I knew what we wanted to get done, but the team never knew. So it's always important that you over communicate. And shout out to Lori. She would always come and say, guys, like, I know you guys have these conversations, but I need to be involved, and the rest of the team needs to be involved on what's going on. So you want to definitely ensure that you're over communicating and you're sharing exactly what the plan is. You're sharing exactly what the ideas is and what it is that we want to get done as a company.
So I want to get more context behind that so you could understand what Josh is talking about. So for so long, you typically don't call an employee at 8 o'clock, 9, 10 o'clock at night. But if you're in business with your family member, it's all hands on deck. I'm going to call you whenever I want to. And there's been certain times, multiple times, and with me and Josh being in business, even though we had a team, we would communicate certain things outside of the team, outside of meetings, because we would have a thought, 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, I call Josh or I text Josh, hey, we're going to do this and this and this. Him and I are in alignment. And then we will forget to tell our team about what him and I discussed, and they created chaos. They created confusion until, like Josh said, we had one of our top team members come to us and like, guys, this has to stop. You guys got to figure out how to communicate effectively so that everyone knows what's going on and not just you two. So I want to make sure you guys understand that when you have a family business, there are certain things that stays between the family, but you got to make sure that your team knows exactly what's going on so they are rowing the boat in the same direction, because that was something that was a huge disadvantage for us for a long time.
I want to take a quick step back, because one thing that you said, that's another advantage too of working with a family business, all hands on deck, which means that we can call each other at any time. Yep. I can call you 11 o'clock at night. Hey, Jeremy, I got this idea. Woo, woo, woo. We can do this. We can do that. But when it's not a family business, one thing that we learned from an employee was they needed space. They need boundaries. Boundaries is what they said. And guys, we need boundaries. Don't call me too late at night, or don't text me too late at night. For us, man, we're high level entrepreneurs, and we're always thinking, we're always going, and we always have ideas. And if I have an idea, or if I have something I want to implement, I want to share that with the team. So for me, that's an advantage of having a family business. I could call you 4:30 in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning when I'm at the gym and say I have an idea.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I thought about something, because I didn't say this, and I want to make sure that I make this very clear. And one of the things that you need to do is have an operating agreement. And in that operating agreement, you need to clearly, guys, hear me out. You need to clearly dictate the roles and responsibilities for each person. And that person needs to live in their roles and responsibilities and not try to overstep their boundaries or overreach. This was something that for a long time, it caused a lot of confusion. It caused multiple times where we was like, man, we was going to walk away from this partnership because we didn't have clear roles and responsibilities. But when Josh was going through his divorce and we sat down, we created an operating agreement. Thankfully, we had a great attorney that says, guys, I see you guys fight a lot. So that we can stop having to deal with that, let's clearly define who's responsible for what, and whatever we put in this agreement, that is what we are going to move forward with, and that is the person that's going to have the final say as in regards to whatever decision you guys are going to make. So I wanted to make sure that I say that, because that was something that was a huge roadblock for us for years. It stopped us from making decision makings because we never defined our roles and responsibilities. So when you're in the family business, you have to do that.
Yeah, that's key. Another thing that you must do in a family business is respectfully rebuke and hold everyone accountable. And you want to do it, especially in front of you want to do it to everybody. One thing that Jeremy and I didn't do well when we first got started in business was our team would see us fussing and fighting, as he just mentioned, and it wasn't good. But now our team see us that we respectfully rebuke each other, meaning like, hey, or hold each other accountable. Hey, Jeremy, you said you're supposed to do this, and it's not done. So essentially what that subconsciously does for them is, man, if he's holding his brother accountable, if he's saying this to his brother, his family, his family member, I got to hold myself to that same standard. So you want to make sure that you're holding everyone in the family business accountable.
Yes. One thing that we've done intentionally is, if Josh does something to one of our team members that I don't like, I make sure that I don't say nothing to him in private. I bring it up in in front of that team member, so that they can know that, yes, even though he's my brother, yes, even though he's the co-founder with me, we all are somewhat on an equal playing field. And just because he's the founder, he's not just going to get away with certain things that I don't like. Because for me, I don't like it
that I can rebuke an employee in front of everybody, but not my brother. Yeah. So that's been something that I think has been huge in our culture within the company, that everybody knows that we gonna hold each other accountable. We live by a standard and we're not going below that standard. That Josh and Jeremy, even though they're the founders, even though they're brothers, they don't get special treatment. Yeah. So we make sure that we have a culture where nobody gets special treatment, and that's including us. And for me, I love that we started to do that, because we've had team members come up to us, man, thank you for having my back. And that's when I really clicked for me, like, damn, this is something that we have to continuously do, because before in private, I called Josh, hey, you should have did this different, you should have did that differently. Now I've learned I'm going to bring that up in the team member, so the team member knows that, yeah, that's my brother, I got his back, but I also got your back as well.
Yep, and we're a team, and that's the thing, like in business, it's all about team. Yeah. And we have to show team, and we have to show camaraderie regardless of who it is, right? So that's super important. Another thing that I want to bring up, another point that I want to make, is one thing that you want to do in a family business is make sure that you create clear metrics so that you can hold everyone accountable. I'm going to say that again. We've said this on several episodes as well. You want to create clear metrics so that you can hold everyone accountable. Just because it's your cousin, just because it's your brother or your sister, it doesn't matter. You guys are running a business. So you want to make sure that you have metrics to hold them accountable. You want to make sure that if you have that family member that's doing sales, you have clear metrics for them that they must meet. If you have a family member that's doing marketing, you want to make sure that you have those metrics so they know that how they're being judged or how they're being held accountable. So tips on creating those metrics, you want to make sure that you guys create those metrics together. And the reason why I say that is because there's going to be times where, depending on your role, you're going to be working more than other family members in the business. And if you don't have those clear metrics, you may start to feel how we felt multiple times when we didn't have those metrics. Like, oh, I'm working harder than you. I'm doing more work than you. I'm contributing more to the company than you are. And that creates a lot of dysfunction, a lot of chaos that you don't need. So these metrics helps you to avoid all of that, and it helps you make sure that everybody's clear on what needs to be done. If you guys are creating it together, and as long as that person is hitting those metrics, then you know that they're putting the same, or if not more, level of work and energy into what it is that they're doing. So guys, that is key. Everything that we just broke down for you, those are things that you must do if you're going to go into business with your family or your friend. Now I want to hold on before you transition. One, like, you made a good point, and I want to hit home on that point, which was like, that was an issue for us, and I don't want to skip over that. That was a huge issue where, like, when we first started in business and we would get frustrated, I'm doing more work than you. At the end of the day, guys, one, as we mentioned earlier, step one is make sure you create those clear roles and responsibilities so you know who's responsible for what, and then you create those metrics, because at the end of the day, it's for the greater good of the organization, number one. But then two, as Jerm just mentioned, sometimes you may be the one that's doing more work than the other, but if that's a part of your role, that's a part of your role, right? You don't want that dysfunction to slow you down or slow the family business down from trying to get to where you guys are trying to get to, because you have an ego issue or you have some animosity towards a family member. So guys, that was a huge mistake that we made. Avoid that mistake at all costs. Thank you for that. So I just want to piggyback off of that and transition into, we gave you what you must do if you're in the family member, if you're in business with a family member or friend. Now we're going to talk about what you don't want to do if you are in a business with your family member. And Josh has talked about it, is ego. You need to remove your ego if you are in a family business with your friend. You need to understand that more than likely the family member or your friend, whoever you're in business with, they want to do what's best for the company. And you need to understand that the best idea needs to win, not who has the biggest ego. For the longest, me and Josh would be battling about, okay, my idea is better than yours. My idea is better than yours. When sometimes, like, if we going back and forth, I know in my heart that Josh got the better idea. I just need to let him have it. But because my ego is in the way, no, we're going to go with my idea. We're going to go with my idea. And we're wasting time. We're creating dysfunction. We're doing stuff that we didn't need to do. And we're holding the company back. So if you're in business with a family member or a friend who, even in a partnership, remove your ego and let the best idea win. That's one of the things that held us back for a long time. A long time, guys. And when we say that, make sure that you take heed to that. Remove the ego. As Jerm our motto, the best idea wins.
Whether it comes, if we have 100 ideas and they all come from Germ, I don't care. The best idea wins. There's no ego within our business. I'm so grateful that God allowed us to grow from that, because that was a thing that hindered us. Another thing that you don't want to do in a family business is you don't want to take work home. One of our mentors, him and his brother, they crush it, centimillionaires, probably even billionaires at this point. And that was key advice that they gave us. They said, guys, leave work at work. Leave the work at the office. Don't bring it home with you. One of the things that we did before, as we mentioned earlier, was we would take the work home and we would create that dysfunction. We would create that chaos, and our family would feel it. And it wasn't a comfortable environment for our family, and it wasn't fair to our family. So one thing that you must do and ensure is that you don't bring the work home with you. Another thing is, don't get upset when somebody's doing their role and responsibility and they make a bad call or they make a bad decision. There's only one perfect person that's ever walked this earth. His name is Jesus Christ. You have to understand that everybody's not going to always make the right decision. Don't live in that. Don't live and allow that to cloud your judgment and allow you and make you want to start overstepping your boundaries and start making decisions for somebody else's roles and responsibilities in their department. That was something that we had to overcome as well, where Josh would make a decision. It was the wrong decision. Now, since he made the wrong decision, I want to overstep. And Josh, this is what we going to do. This is what we got to do. Gosh, leave that at the door. Understand that people are going to make mistakes. Let them learn from their mistakes. Make sure, and I'm not saying don't say anything about it, but if you do, say something respectfully and help them learn from that. Not beat them down because they made a bad mistake. So if you're in a business with family members or a friend, don't allow one bad decision to cloud your judgment and to start creating bad things in the business that you don't need. That's one thing that's key, because that has happened again, guys. This is one of our struggles, and that's the purpose of us having this podcast show, is to expose you to our struggles. And that was a struggle for us, which was, if I made a bad decision, Jerm ain't gonna let me live it down, or vice versa. Jerm made the bad decision 5 years ago, and I'm still bringing up that, guys, get over it. Remove the ego and keep pushing forward. Another thing that you don't want to do is you don't want your employees or your team members to see you guys fighting. One of the things that Jerm and I used to do, we had a bad issue with, was we were getting into screaming matches almost by the fight in the office. And you don't want your team members to see that, because that can create division within the company, right? And you can create a chaotic work environment. People don't want to work. Players don't want to work in a chaotic working environment. So you must ensure that you're not fighting in front of your employees. It's okay to be passionate. It's okay for you to, state how you feel, but you don't have to fight. You don't have to argue. You don't have to raise your voice or fight with your family member. Guys, we're giving you real game right now. And I'm telling you, you take what we're giving you, you will know how to operate in a successful family and friend run business. Now, I want to go into just a couple things and talk about a couple things that have worked for us in our family business. And the first thing that has worked really, really well for us is, and we had to learn this, was acknowledge and celebrate when your family member in the business has done something well for the business. It's easy to talk about the bad and what they done wrong. It's easy to bring that up, but make sure that you acknowledge and that you celebrate them. They're a typical human being, and we all like to be acknowledged for certain things that we do. We all like to be celebrated when we do something right. That is no different than your family member. So when they do something right, acknowledge it. Yeah. Another thing that you want to make sure that you do is have a person that's going to be the ultimate decision maker. In business, you guys are not always going to agree. We're all different people, different opinions, different personalities. So you want to have that ultimate decision maker, and I'll break that down for you guys. So for Jerm and I, yes, we have clear roles and responsibilities, but there are certain things that I may feel strongly about. There are certain things that Jerm may feel strongly about. And if we can't agree on those things, and this is stated in our operator agreement, my mom or our attorney can come in and make that final decision for us. Guys, that was something that was key for us. And thankfully, we've never had to go to that level. I mean, we've never had to go to that extent, but we have it in there because there are times in the past before we had it in writing that we just couldn't come to an agreement, and we held up decisions for a long time, and we slowed the growth of the company. Because what eventually we started to do, yes, we got in the operating agreement, but what we eventually started to do was understand that there are things that I'm way more passionate about. And Josh lets me have that because he understands that's very important to me. He understands that that is something that I really, really believe is right. So if you're in the business with a family member, your friend, if you remove your ego and you sit back and you start to realize like, damn, that's really important to Germ, I'm gonna let Germ have that. Or me, that's really, really important to Josh. It's a big deal to me, but it's a much bigger deal to him than it is to me. So I'm gonna let him have it on this one. So that's another thing that has worked well for us, just by letting each other have just certain moments and certain decisions when we see that Josh is way more passionate than me about this. So I'm gonna let him have it on this one. And that leads me to my next point. Things that work well for us is always the decision that's for the greater good of the organization. I'm going to say that again. We make the decision that is for the greater good of the organization. We mentioned earlier, one of the things that you want to ensure that you have within your family business is ensuring that you guys have the same value system and the same belief system. And if you guys have the same value and the same belief system, you guys are rowing the boat in the same direction. We're after the same thing. So every decision that we make is for the greater good of the organization. Yeah. So, man, I think this has been really good. Do you got anything else that you want to add to the conversation before I wrap it up? One last thing, too, that has worked well for us is ensuring that we have mission, vision, and core values as well. So that's one thing that you want to ensure that you guys do. Make sure you have a mission, vision, and core values, because that's going to help steer your decision making. That's going to help you in your hiring, and that's just going to ensure that you guys are rowing the boat in the same direction. But, man, that's all I have, brother. Guys, and one thing I just want to end on, just because your cousin good in math don't mean he need to be the CPA of the business. Yeah. Just because you go into business with somebody and they are better than you at something, that doesn't mean that you need to give that role to them. So understand that and make sure that you're not just assigning roles and not allowing certain things to happen because somebody's good or better at something than you, because there are things that Josh is better than me at, but he allows me to shine because I've shown that I'm more passionate about it and I've grown more of an interest than he has. And that has been something that's been instrumental in allowing us grow, because even though we're twins, even though we brothers, we have different likes. We like different things. Like I like financials more than Josh like financials, even though Josh was better at math than I was. That's a prime example. But now I run the financials because that's something that's important to me. I'm passionate about it. And I'm not saying I run it, but I oversee the team that runs it, because I'm much more passionate about it than he is. Josh runs our education company. I think I'm a better communicator than him. I think I teach better than Josh, but he's way more passionate about education and than I am. Not saying that I'm not, but he's taking it to another level. So because of that, we realized that, yeah, I may be able to explain things better than Josh, but he's more passionate. And when there's passion behind something, he's growing, he's evolving, and he's learning. So that was a huge tip that we had to learn. But guys, this has been another banger. I'm sure you guys got a lot of value, and I hope that we dispelled that myth of never going into business with your friends and family, because that's something that we wanted to demystify. We wanted to challenge your thinking on if you had the same thinking that we've had. Guys, as always, we have our gentleman's agreement. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. It helps the show continue to grow. Leave a comment as well. Help us to know what we can do better. And also, if you're listening on the podcast players like Apple or Spotify, hit that follow button. Leave us 5 stars and leave us a review as well. We would greatly appreciate it. And share this episode with somebody so that you can expose them and you can challenge their belief system. Expose and expand. Peace. Hey, y'all, if y'all want to see that boxing match, make sure y'all write a comment. Expose and expand. Peace.